So, is Eric Swalwell trying to become the governor of a state he doesn't even live in?
That is the core question,
Mhm.
shaking things up in Sacramento. And honestly, if you look at the paper trail,
Yeah.
the mortgages, the lawsuits,
Yeah.
it's it's not looking good.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are digging into a stack of documents that frankly feels like it belongs in a forensic accounting class, not a political race.
It's a fascinating case. We're talking about a specific lawsuit filed in Sacramento County by a conservative filmmaker, Joel Gilbert.
And the goal isn't just to score points.
No, the goal is to kick U.S. Representative Eric Swalwell right off the ballot for the 2026 governor's race.
Wow. Okay, so kicking him off the ballot, that's the nuclear option.
It is. But the accusation here is that Swalwell is, well, legally ineligible to even run. The lawsuit claims that while he says he's a Californian, he actually lives full-time in get this, a $1.2 million mansion in Washington, D.C.
With his wife and 3 kids.
with his wife and 3 kids. Yeah,
A $1.2 million mansion. That doesn't sound like a little crash pad for a busy congressman. That sounds like a forever home.
exactly. And Gilbert, the activist, he claims he has the smoking gun. When Swalwell filed his official candidate intention statement, this is a document you sign under penalty of perjury.
Okay, so it's serious.
Very. He didn't list a home address in California.
What did he list? A P.O. box or something?
Not even. He listed the address of a business suite
Yeah,
in a high-rise.
a business suite.
Yeah. It belongs to his campaign attorneys, Greenberg Traurig.
Wait, hold on. He listed a law firm as his house? I'm trying to picture that. Is there a pull-out couch in the conference room?
It's absurd, right? But the lawsuit actually provides the address. 1201 K Street, Suite 1100. It's a corporate suite.
So he's claiming his domicile, the place he intends to sleep at night, is an office where the lights go off at 6 p.m.
And this isn't just embarrassing. It's a huge legal vulnerability. The California Constitution has a really strict rule. Candidates for governor have to be residents for 5 years, immediately preceding the election.
5 years. So if he's been living in D.C. since, say, 2022.
He's toast. His run for governor is over before it even starts.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate. I'm sure he has a defense. Politicians are slippery. Maybe he just says, I'm a Californian at heart, or I just work in D.C. How do you prove where someone really lives?
And that brings us to the mortgage.
Yeah.
This is where the feelings argument just slams into the brick wall of financial law.
I know a little about mortgages, and the bank definitely doesn't care about your feelings.
They do not.
Yeah.
So in April 2022, Swalwell and his wife buy that 6-bedroom home in D.C. Now, buying a house isn't a crime, but when they signed the mortgage documents, they classified it as their principal residence.
Principal residence. Oof. I signed those docs. The bank takes that term very, very seriously.
It's the difference between a good interest rate and a much higher one. You are promising the bank, I am going to live here. It lowers their risk. You get a better rate.
So he told the bank, I live here in D.C. This is my main home.
Correct.
But he's telling California voters, no, I live in California. That's my main home.
Right. And that is the trap. This is what the lawsuit is all about. He can't have it both ways.
Right.
I mean, think about it. Either he lied to the bank to get a cheaper mortgage, which is, mortgage fraud,
A federal crime.
or he's telling the bank the truth, which means he is ineligible to run for governor of California.
Wow. So it's either bank fraud or election ineligibility. Pick your poison.
That's the reality. You just can't legally have a principal residence in D.C. and a domicile in California at the same time. The law says it's a binary choice.
This just feels like one of those things where a regular person would get absolutely crushed, but a politician might skate by.
It's called occupancy fraud, and yes, people get investigated for it all the time. But for Swalwell, the immediate threat is the ballot.
So let's go back to California. If he's in this D.C. mansion, does he have anything in California? A condo? An apartment?
According to the lawsuit and the public records they dug up, zero.
Nothing.
Nothing. From 2011 to 2024, his financial disclosures list no California real estate. He used to list a Dublin, California address years ago. Then it was a P.O. box. And now it's the lawyer's office.
That is just wild. You would think a guy running for governor would at least, I don't know, rent a studio apartment to keep up appearances.
It suggests a level of confidence, maybe,
Mm.
or carelessness. But there's another detail that suggests he knows exactly what this looks like. The lawsuit mentions that on Google Maps, the image of his D.C. home, it's blurred out.
Blurred out, like how they blur your license plate.
Exactly. Now, lots of public figures do that for security, sure. But in this context, the lawsuit argues it's about concealment. He doesn't want voters in his district to see the six-bedroom reality of his life in Washington.
Right. Pay no attention to the man behind the blurred pixels.
Exactly. But I can hear the counter-argument already. He's a congressman. Of course he has to be in D.C.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Doesn't the law give him a pass for doing his job?
It does, and this is where we have to break down domicile versus residence.
Okay, lay it on me. What's the difference?
A residence is just where you are. You can have 5 residences, but you can only have 1 domicile.
One domicile. The Highlander rule.
Exactly. There can be only one. It's your fixed, permanent home where you intend to return. And the law is specific. Your domicile is determined by 2 things: fact of removal and intention.
Okay, so fact of removal is you physically moved. Intention is you plan to stay there.
Right. And there's a thing called legislative presumption. It's basically a shield for politicians.
Yeah.
The law presumes your move to D.C. is temporary. It assumes you're there on a kind of a tour of duty.
Like a soldier deployed overseas. You don't lose your Texas residency just because you're stationed in Germany.
Spot on. That is the presumption. However, and this is a massive however, that presumption can be rebutted. It is not a blank check.
And how do you rebut it?
By acting unless you've moved permanently. By buying a huge family home, moving your wife and kids, and telling a federal bank, this is my principal residence.
So his own actions, his mortgage, that overrides the presumption that he's just visiting D.C.
That's the argument.
Yeah.
The analysis in the sources is that his actions speak louder than the presumption. He has, in effect, planted his flag in Washington.
Which means he's a D.C. resident.
And that means, under the California Constitution, he is ineligible. He broke that 5-year residency chain.
So case closed. Judge bangs the gavel. Swalwell's out.
You'd think.
Yeah.
But this is California politics. And this brings us to the bureaucratic twist.
Oh, boy.
The referee here is the California Secretary of State, Shirley Weber. Her job is to enforce these rules. But our sources found something in the official qualifications guide from her office.
A loophole.
It's worse. It's basically a refusal to enforce the rule. The guide lists the 5-year residency requirement from the Constitution plain as day. But then there's a footnote.
A footnote on the Constitution.
Pretty much. The guide says the Secretary of State's office believes this 5-year rule violates the U.S. Constitution and is unenforceable.
Hold on. So the people of California voted for a constitution that says you must live here for 5 years,
Yep.
and an unelected office just decided, nah, we don't like that one.
That is the conservative critique, exactly. The administrative state just sort of overruling the will of the people without a court order.
That seems incredibly dangerous. If they can ignore that part, what else can they ignore?
And here's the really ironic part. You know Seer Dewey, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington.
The watchdog group, yeah. They usually go after Republicans.
Right. But even Seer Dewey has argued that the Secretary of State must have the authority to remove candidates who are constitutionally ineligible.
Why would they argue that?
To protect voters. Think about it. If you vote for Swalwell, and then a court later rules he's ineligible, you've been disenfranchised. Your vote was wasted.
Because the ref allowed a player on the field who shouldn't have been there.
Exactly. So you have conservative activists and a left-wing ethics group basically agreeing on the principle here.
Yeah.
The rules have to mean something.
It really does feel like rules for thee, but not for me. I mean, it fits a pattern behavior for him, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, you have to look at the character context here. This is not the first time he's been in a controversy.
You're talking about the Fang Fang spy scandal.
Exactly. Christine Fang, a suspected Chinese intelligence operative who helped him rise to power. Even after the FBI briefed him, he stayed on the House Intelligence Committee.
Which is just mind-boggling. Top secret clearance, and you had a relationship with a suspected spy.
Town Hall calls it chutzpah. It's this sense of being untouchable. That the rules, whether for national security or residency, are kind of flexible for him.
And now he wants the keys to the governor's mansion in a state that's, let's be honest, facing some very real problems.
And that's the so what for you listening.
Right.
Why does any of this matter? Swalwell's own campaign talks about the high cost of living, crime, homelessness. He says people are scared.
And he's right. People are scared.
But can you really understand those problems? I mean, can you feel the urgency to fix them if you don't actually live with them?
That is a powerful point. If you're in that blurred-out D.C. mansion, you aren't paying California gas prices. You aren't stepping over needles in San Francisco.
You're insulated. The residency rule isn't just a technicality. It's supposed to ensure the governor has skin in the game. If his real home is in D.C., he could just fly back to his principal residence and leave the mess behind.
That's really what it boils down to. It's not just about where he sleeps, it's about where his loyalty lies.
And that is what the court in Sacramento has to decide. Does the California Constitution apply to everyone? Or is it just a suggestion?
So let's just quickly recap the main takeaways for everyone.
Sure. Point 1. Eric Swalwell signed a legal mortgage document saying his principal residence is in Washington, D.C.
Point 2. He signed an election form listing a law office in Sacramento as his address.
Point 3. The California Constitution demands 5 years of residency, which his D.C. move seems to have broken.
And point 4. The Secretary of State is, for now, refusing to enforce that rule, which is why we have this massive lawsuit.
When you lay it out like that, it sounds less like some kind of mistake and more like a calculated gamble.
A gamble that the public just isn't paying attention.
Exactly.
Well, we're paying attention. And here's a final thought for you to chew on today. We talk about integrity in politics like it's some abstract thing. But here's a concrete test. If a candidate is willing to mislead the bank about where he lives to get a better loan, and mislead the voters about where he lives to get on the ballot, what else is he willing to mislead you about if he gets the keys to the governor's mansion?
That is the ultimate question.
Keep your eyes on Sacramento. This deep dive might just be the prologue to a major political shakeup. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.